better part of 2 years, maybe even 3 years, the mainstream media has been trying to convince us that Angel Reese is a huge star.
Angel Reese was supposed to be the WNBA's breakout star, marketed as Caitlin Clark's equal and hyped as one half of the league's next great rivalry. She entered the 2025 season with confidence, endorsements, and millions of followers. But when the All-Star votes were tallied, reality struck hard. Caitlin Clark didn't just edge her out, she obliterated the competition, earning over 1.2 million votes and securing her place as All-Star captain. Reese, she couldn't even crack the top 10. The silence from Angel Reese was deafening at first. Then came the meltdown. What followed wasn't just frustration, it was an unraveling. Social media jabs, passive-aggressive interviews, leaks from within the Chicago Sky locker room, and, ultimately, rumors she had been quietly benched or even thrown off rotation by her own team. This wasn't just a case of a player missing the cut, it was the public collapse of a narrative carefully built over 2 years of collapse that exposed the brutal difference between perception and performance. As Caitlin Clark rises as the undisputed face of women's basketball, Angel Reese is left searching for answers, relevance, and maybe a way back onto the court. But that door might be closing faster than she thinks.
So lads, Caitlin Clark led the WNBA in All-Star voting. Obviously led the WNBA in All-Star voting. Like, I don't think anyone is shocked by that. If somebody is surprised by Caitlin Clark leading the WNBA in All-Star voting, you've been living under a rock. It's obvious. She was always going to lead.
The moment the WNBA announced its 2025 All-Star captains, the entire landscape of the so-called rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese was obliterated. Caitlin Clark didn't just secure a spot, she dominated the voting process with a staggering 1,293,526 fan votes. That number wasn't just a record, it was a declaration. It told the world exactly who the fans believed was carrying the league. Angel Reese, on the other hand, barely made a ripple. Despite constant media coverage, endorsement deals, and social media traction, she landed outside the top 10. Her vote count a mere 173,363 for a player marketed as one of the league's biggest stars. The drop-off was brutal. 13th place might seem respectable, but in the world of elite professional sports, it's an indictment, especially when you're supposed to be the rival of the most popular player in the game. What made it worse was the silence that followed. Reese had been vocal all season about her brand, about her haters, about her so-called crown. But when the fans spoke through their votes, she went quiet. No celebratory post. No acknowledgement of missing the top ranks. Just a digital void. That said more than words ever could. Behind the scenes, sources began whispering about her mood following the announcement. Teammates allegedly noticed a shift. She wasn't just disappointed, she was furious. And not just at the system or the league, but at Caitlin Clark herself. The person she once considered a peer was now leading the All-Star game. While she sat in the shadows, the media jumped on the story, framing it as a shocking snub. But was it really? Clark had been averaging over 18 points per game, was top 5 in assists, and consistently sold out arenas. Reese, meanwhile, had seen dips in performance, shooting percentage, and efficiency. The fans didn't forget. They voted accordingly. For Reese, the All-Star captaincy wasn't just a loss, it was a public unraveling of the image she had tried so hard to project. And for Clark, it was confirmation. She wasn't just part of the narrative anymore, she was leading it. The fans had spoken, and they were done pretending this was a rivalry.
Says by the time Angel Reese is done, she's going to be the Michael Jordan of WNBA.
She said about Angel Reese?
She said Angel Reese, by the time she retires, can you pull up this quote? She said, by the time she retires, she will be the MJ.
After the All-Star voting results dropped, Angel Reese's public silence quickly gave way to something much louder, frustration laced with fury. At first, it was subtle. A few cryptic tweets, a couple of likes on posts, throwing shade at Caitlin Clark. But then the frustration turned into something far less controlled. Those close to the Chicago Sky began to leak what fans had started to suspect. Reese wasn't just upset, she was unraveling. Inside the locker room, teammates described a shift in her attitude. Practices grew tense. Communication on the court became strained. What used to be confidence started to feel like resentment, especially toward the media attention. Clark was receiving the attention she wasn't. Then came the indirect jabs. During interviews, Reese dropped loaded phrases like "some people get celebrated for nothing or they don't want to see me win." She never named names, but the target was obvious. As Clark's star continued to rise, Reese couldn't hide the bitterness. Her comments were laced with jealousy, and the league noticed. Behind closed doors, coaches were growing concerned. They had banked on her being a centerpiece of the team's future. But now they were dealing with someone who seemed more focused on proving a point than improving her game. Attempts to redirect her energy into performance were met with resistance. Instead of buckling down, Reese appeared to double down on her brand, her image, and her online persona. And then came the real explosion. During a timeout in a game where she'd been benched for poor performance, Reese was visibly frustrated. Cameras caught her arguing with assistant coaches, waving them off as she sat on the edge of the bench. She wasn't injured, she wasn't saving energy. She was furious about it. Social media lit up. Fans were split. Some defended her as being passionate, others called it what it looked like, a meltdown. This wasn't the confident trash talker from LSU, this was a player watching her influence evaporate in real time. The all-star snub had done more than hurt her pride. It exposed the gap between her public persona and her performance. And now, under pressure, Angel Reese wasn't handling it quietly. She was letting the world see the cracks. When it comes to all-star selections, fans may vote with their hearts, but numbers never lie. And the numbers told a harsh truth about Angel Reese. Let's start with Caitlin Clark. Despite dealing with injuries and heavy defensive attention, she's been a statistical machine, averaging 18.2 points, 8.9 assists, and 5 rebounds per game. Clark isn't just performing, she's elevating the league. She broke the WNBA record for fastest to 350 assists. She fills arenas, she shifts television ratings, she wins. Now compare that to Angel Reese. After a promising rookie season where she averaged 13.6 points and 13.1 rebounds, her sophomore campaign has been riddled with regression. Her scoring is down to 11.7 points per game. Her rebounding, supposedly, her specialty dropped to 12.3 per game. That may seem like a small dip until you realize she pads those numbers with what fans now call May Bounds rebounding her own missed layups, often multiple times in a single possession. Then there's the turnovers. Reese has nearly doubled her mistakes from last season, averaging 3.9 per game. Her field goal percentage, a dismal 39.1%. For a 6'3" forward who plays close to the basket, that's unacceptable. That's not elite, that's inefficient. These aren't nitpicked stats. They're exactly what coaches, analysts, and fans look at when making all-star decisions. And those stats paint a clear picture. Reese is struggling to transition from college dominance to professional consistency. Her weaknesses aren't occasional, they're persistent. And they're costing her both on the court and in the eyes of the public. Meanwhile, Clark's numbers are backed by impact. She isn't just putting up points, she's making her team better. The Indiana Fever went from irrelevant to competitive with her arrival. Her presence commands attention, reshapes defenses, and creates opportunities for teammates. That's the definition of an all-star. So when the results came in, it wasn't a snub, it was accountability. Fans didn't ignore Reese, they evaluated her, and she came up short. The game isn't about hype, it's about production. And when the league's best are being honored, stats like 39% shooting and nearly 4 turnovers per game don't cut it. Reese didn't miss out because of bias, she missed out because her performance didn't match the spotlight. What happened after the All-Star announcement wasn't just a personal low for Angel Reese. It became a full-blown locker room crisis. Within days, reports began surfacing that the mood inside the Chicago Sky had shifted dramatically. Coaches were walking on eggshells. Teammates were distancing themselves. And most notably, Reese was no longer guaranteed a closing role on the court. In one of the most revealing moments of the season, the Sky secured a rare win and Reese wasn't on the floor for the final minutes. Instead, Rookie standout Camila Cardoso took the spotlight, dropping a career-high 23 points, while Reese sat silently on the bench. It wasn't an injury. It wasn't foul trouble. It was a message. That message came through loud and clear. The team plays better without her. Head coach, Tyler Marsh, hired to elevate the Sky into playoff contenders, had already been experimenting with lineups. He moved Reese into different positions. He tried turning her into a point forward. Nothing stuck. The inefficiency, the turnovers, and the lack of rim finishing all became glaring problems. Eventually, the coaching staff had no choice but to prioritize winning over reputation. That meant giving other players more minutes and Reese less. Internally, frustration mounted. Several sources close to the team hinted at growing fatigue with Reese's attitude. While her social media presence remained strong, her on-court production continued to lag. Behind the scenes, teammates were reportedly annoyed with the distractions, especially when they weren't matched by accountability on the hardwood, even the Sky's front office couldn't hide their disappointment. When asked about Reese's performance, a team executive was blunt. "We need more from her." That kind of public statement isn't common in pro sports, and it isn't made unless something is seriously wrong. Yet perhaps the most telling moment came when the team named her Player of the Week after a loss. She put up 17 points and 11 rebounds, which looked fine on paper, but the Sky still lost. The bar had been lowered so much that a decent stat line in a losing effort was considered a highlight at this point. It wasn't just about a missed all-star opportunity. Reese's place in the Sky rotation, her role, her leadership, even her respect in the locker room was in jeopardy. And the more she tried to control the narrative online, the more it unraveled on the court. From the moment Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark faced off in that legendary college championship, the media latched onto the idea of a new rivalry, one that could carry the WNBA into a new era. The league leaned into it, broadcasters hyped it, and fans were sold a storyline to Titans, opposite in style and personality, ready to define a generation. But just 2 seasons later, that narrative isn't just crumbling, it's collapsing in plain sight. The truth is, there never was a real rivalry. Rivalries are built on equal footing, to players pushing each other to greatness, trading wins, competing at the same level. That's not what's happening here. Caitlin Clark has evolved into the face of the league, leading in votes, stats, and cultural influence. Angel Reese, meanwhile, has struggled just to stay in the conversation. Clark has outpaced her in every meaningful category: points, assists, efficiency, leadership, and team impact. She's leading the Indiana Fever out of the basement, breaking records and selling out arenas. She's got fans, legends, and even opponents praising her growth. Every time she steps on the court, she adds to her legacy. Reese, on the other hand, is being defined by missed layups, padded rebounds, and locker room tension. Her numbers are down, her team is floundering, and her brand is taking hits she can't recover from. Even her famous Mabounds have become a joke mocked by fans, turned into memes, and used as evidence that her stats aren't telling the whole story. The media may have tried to keep the rivalry alive, but the scoreboard doesn't lie. Clark is winning games, winning fans, and winning respect. Reese is trending for the wrong reasons. The gap between them is no longer debatable. It's visible on every box score, every court, and every broadcast. What was once marketed as a battle between equals is now a one-sided performance. One player is ascending to superstardom. The other is sinking under the weight of unmet expectations. The rivalry may have helped sell tickets for a season, but in 2025, it's officially over. And in the end, it wasn't Clark who ended it was Reese. By refusing to evolve, while her so-called rival kept rewriting the standard. When Angel Reese trademarked the term Mabounds, she thought she was flipping the script, toning the narrative, turning criticism into currency. What started as online mockery for padding her rebound stats by missing her own layups suddenly became a brand. T-shirts, hoodies, slogans was all part of a savvy marketing push. But in trying to turn her biggest weakness into a moneymaker, Reese made one critical mistake. She forgot to fix the weakness. The numbers behind the joke are painful. Reese's field goal percentage is a staggering 39.1% low for any player, but especially for a 6'3" forward whose role is supposed to dominate in the paint, instead of improving her shot selection or refining her footwork, she leaned into the meme. Fans started timing how many misses it took her to score. Analysts broke down clips showing her rebounding her own misses 2, 3, even 4 times before converting. What should have been an embarrassment became merchant. That's when the respect began to slip. It wasn't just a bad look. It was a red flag to coaches and teammates. While other players grinded in the gym, Reese was filing trademarks. While Caitlin Clark was fine-tuning her shot mechanics, Reese was cashing in on her inefficiencies. The Maybounds gimmick stopped being cute the moment it became a brand strategy instead of a wake-up call. Fans noticed, so did opponents. Reese, once feared for her college dominance, became predictable on the court. She'd miss at the rim, hustle for the rebound, and then miss again. It wasn't hustle, it was habit, a bad one she never broke. Meanwhile, the brand started to look like a mask for poor performance. You can slap a slogan on anything, but at the end of the day, basketball is about production. Maybounds wasn't a triumph of marketing. It was a symbol of stagnation. It screamed, "I'm more focused on the narrative than the numbers." In a league where talent is everywhere and effort is everything, Reese's attempt to turn flaws into fashion backfired. Instead of rewriting the story, she highlighted exactly what's holding her back. And in doing so, she reminded everyone that no amount of branding can cover up what happens on the court. Behind every public fall in sports, there's usually a locker room story no one wants to talk about. And in Angel Reese's case, that story is starting to leak. While she's still officially on the Chicago Sky roster, whispers from inside. The organizations say the real fallout didn't begin with the fans or the media. It began with her own team quietly turning away from her. After the All-Star snub and public frustration, Reese's energy at practice reportedly shifted. Coaches noticed, teammates noticed. She wasn't showing up with the same focus, and when she did, it was more attitude than effort. Players who were once supportive began to question her priorities. One insider described the mood as tense every day, especially as other teammates. Like Camila Cardoso stepped into larger roles, with less drama and more production. The coaching staff had been patient. Tyler Marsh, a championship-caliber coach, gave Reese every opportunity to thrive, changing her role, modifying plays, even giving her the chance to act as a point forward. Nothing stuck. The turnovers piled up. The missed layups continued. Eventually, the minutes started to shrink. Then came a moment that caught attention around the league. Reese was benched for nearly an entire fourth quarter in a game the Sky ended up winning. That wasn't random. That was intentional, and that's where the phrase "thrown out" started floating online. While it wasn't an official suspension or release, it was clear something had changed. Multiple sources say there were closed-door conversations about her fit with the team moving forward. Some even suggested she had been temporarily removed from team activities, not due to injury, but to cool things down. The Sky's front office hasn't commented publicly, but fans have pieced it together. She's playing fewer minutes. She's being replaced in closing lineups. And most damning of all, her teammates are performing better without her. The issue isn't just talent's trust. When your locker room can't rely on your focus and your brand starts to overshadow your game, you lose the room. That's what's happening to Angel Reese. She hasn't been officially cut, but the writing is on the wall. She may still wear the jersey, but make no mistake, her team has already moved on. While Angel Reese spirals in controversy and fading relevance, Caitlin Clark is quietly building a legacy that's rewriting WNBA history. And she's doing it without theatrics, without excuses, and without losing focus. While Reese is trying to trademark memes, Clark is breaking records. While one struggles to find her place in a crowded locker room, the other is leading her franchise into national spotlight. Clark became the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 350 assists. She's top 5 in scoring and assists, despite being relentlessly targeted by opposing defenses. And even through injuries, she's remained efficient, consistent, and composed. Her court vision is unmatched. Her leadership is undeniable. And her impact, it's bigger than just stats. Everywhere Clark goes, fans follow. She sells out arenas on the road. Television viewership spikes when she plays. She's become the face of a franchise and, arguably the league itself, in just her rookie season, and she did it by letting her game speak louder than her social media feed. Let's not forget how she opened the 2025 season, a triple-double performance against the Chicago Sky, while Reese struggled to make layups and got benched in crunch. Time Clark was making history. One built drama, the other built dominance. Even off the court, Clark is becoming a force. Her endorsements are skyrocketing not because of viral catchphrases, but because fans see her as authentic, hardworking, and generational. She's been compared to Steph Curry not just for her range, but for how she changes the geometry of the court. Coaches are building game plans around stopping her and failing, and unlike Reese, Clark doesn't need to sell a brand. She is the brand. Her excellence is the product. That's why the All-Star captaincy felt inevitable. It wasn't a popularity contest, it was a coronation. One built on real performance, real leadership, and real results. In the end, while Reese fights for control of her crumbling narrative, Clark simply plays, and in playing, she wins. Over and over again, the rivalry is dead, not because one player lost, it's dead because one player ascended so far, so fast, that no one else could keep up. Especially not the one who spent more time building a story than backing it up on the court. Angel Reese entered the league with hype, headlines, and high expectations. But as the 2025 season unfolded, the gap between image and impact became undeniable. While she focused on branding, social media, and defending her crown, Caitlin Clark focused on basketball, and it showed. Clark's All-Star captaincy wasn't just a vote of popularity, it was a statement of dominance. Reese, once seen as her rival, has now become a cautionary tale. The court doesn't care about marketing slogans or Instagram followers, it rewards those who evolve, who grind, who lead. And Clark has done all three. Meanwhile, Reese finds herself sidelined by teammates, coaches, and now fans. This wasn't just a rivalry ending, it was reality catching up. Caitlin Clark is building a legacy. Angel Reese is at a crossroads, and if she doesn't shift her focus soon, her story may be remembered. More for missed chances than meaningful change.